Hello, welcome back to Let's Love to Learn Together. It's so nice to have you here. So I'm Rosalie, and I'm pleased to introduce a brand new series that focuses on reporting the courts. Now, here in the UK, it is against the law to record in court, and therefore we rely on an accurate shorthand note. Wherever in the world you are, the following 4-minute dictation, without any interval, will be a real test of stamina. So whether you're preparing for exams or are already a working journalist brushing up on your shorthand notes, I hope you'll find this helpful. Prior to dictation, we will explore all the words and groups that feature in today's passage. You then have the chance to pause, drill the grippings and words, and then I will dictate the passage. Once I have dictated the passage, I'll go through all the outlines on the board with you too. If you don't want to see words beforehand and want this to be a cold dictation, then you can leave the video now. You can head over to SoundCloud and play the audio file titled "Man Stands Trial Following Evidence of Drug Dealing," and then come back onto the video to watch a demonstration of me going through all the outlines. So all your questions will be answered. Of course, do transcribe your work notes first. And then of course, if you want to watch a lesson, feel free to, and hopefully that will be helpful. If you're staying with me to look at the words and groups that are going to come up in the passage, then let's get started. So I'm going to share my board so you can see the screen. So you will see lines on the screen shortly. Now, just bear in mind, I'm writing on a whiteboard with my Wacom tablet. Therefore, notes will look quite big. This is purely for visibility purposes. Remember, you want to try and keep your notes as small and close together as possible. I recommend drawing a straight line on the middle of your notepad and working down each column. Some people like it, some don't, but I find it really useful. So this is a live lesson recording, so just bear with while I just load the whiteboard. It should come up in a second. Okay. So I'll share my screen shortly. Should pop up there. Wonderful. Okay. So words and groups that are going to come up in the passage. I'm not going to live drill them in the lesson, but you can just pause and drill each one, or the ones that are less familiar. The first one we have is ladies and gentlemen of the jury. So the outline for that would be L and G and J, I. So ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Again, because I'm writing with quite a sort of thicker pen, just bear that in mind on a big board and the pen's not, really fine. If I go any smaller, it ends up being less visible. Okay, so that's the first grouping we have. We then have the phrase, "It is my pleasure," wonderful gripping, just slides off your pen. So it is M-I-P-L through S-R, it is my pleasure. We also have the outline for prosecutor. Now, just to remind you, prosecution is P-S-C-tion, special outline. We're not using the PR intersection there. So prosecutor, in this case, we've got pros-C-T-R. Brilliant. Then we're going to have defendant. Now I've got my special outline for defendant. I just do D downwards F disjoint T, the same outline as different. So you can use that. If you like mine, then you can have it with pleasure. Otherwise, you've got D, F, N, D, and T, quite a long outline. If you are regularly reporting the courts, it might be a good idea to make your own special outlines for some of the more difficult words. Okay, then we also have the word charged. Again, my shortcut, rather than going C-H-R-G-D, I omit the R and just do C-H-G-D. Looks like judged. Okay, you will see different styles of shorthand between myself and the wonderful Josephine Goodall, who all the notes of the channel are Joe so far. So you will see a difference between handwriting. It's good to see different styles of writing. You always see different hints and tricks as well. Any questions, always drop us an email, anything's unclear. Just bear in mind there are different ways to write words, and that is one of the many wonderful things about shorthand. So charged, I would omit the R. Okay, so you should be pausing or noting these down and drilling in between. Next one we have is the phrase with the. So W-I, blend it down, H of the. Really nice grouping, that one. Next we have possession. So here we would have PS and a shun, possession. Next we have intent. So I-T-N-T, omit the N. We have the phrase to the, nice simple word grouping there. We have December, always practice your months of the year, days of the week. So DC is December. We have the word apartment, which should be A-P-R-T, your baby M for words that end in ment. Neighbour, quite a common word, N-B-R. In the words, I like this one. So in that, and then we just do the woods for words in the words. We have of the, common group in there. Blaring, B-L-R, and ing. So remember, elongate your L to add R. If it was like, let's say, bawling, it would be a normal like that. So blaring. There had been, we've got there, THR blend, HD, pop the B inside, there had been. Different, so D downwards F and T, different. Okay, I'm just going to pop the screen up so a bit more room. We have breaking points. For this, we can do breaking, a dot for point. Like how we see things like point of view, for example, so using a dot there for breaking point. Arrival is your R principle, also referred to as an AR blend. So we've got arrival. We have because, CS under writing line. We have under. Now, you will see different ways to write this. The quickest one is to do a disjoint U above the next outline or next part of that word. For example, this would say understand. In this case, we're going to have under A. So we'll have under, and then we'll have A, under A. Okay, sorry, my A was a bit high there. I should be under A. There we go. Otherwise, it looks like under at. Okay, then we are going to have police officers. So P for police and just CRS for officers. Wonderful grip in that one. We also have into there, so INTH there. We also have refuse, that's your RF blend, followed by the S and the D. Slightly fiddly, that one, refused. We have of A, so O indicator for R, but add the A there. Substance, which is S, B, S, T, and substance. We have the phrase across there, so ACRSH there. We have 7,000, sorry, not 7, get my figures accurate, sorry, nearly said 7, it's 17. £17,000 is 17, T for thousand, dot for pounds. Ideally try and stick with your number. And we also have bedroom as well, which would be B, a DR blend, and an M, so bedroom. Okay, and that is all I'm going to give you for outlines beforehand. Okay, so in fact, there's a few more. I've got more to come. I thought that was a bit short there. So we've also got the word also. I hadn't scrolled down. SO on the T line. Again, you will see another way to write also, but you can use either evidence as well as the under your writing line. Number of, we love that one. NO for number, then O for of. As young as, so we can do as young and as add the S on the end for as. So we've got as young as, bit of fiddly, but it's good if you can group that together. We've got earlier, which is ER-LR, so elongated L to add R. I'm going to clear my screen just to make some more room, but remember you can pause at any point and work in your own pace. There's no rush. Okay, we also have I can, which is a grouping that people don't tend to like because you're writing backwards. It's quite counterintuitive, but it is helpful. So I, CM blend, I can. Promise, which is a nice one, so putting the M through and the S for your PR rule. The phrase you will be a, so we've got you will be a, making sure that you will be and we will be look different. Use a baby. Okay, so make sure you take care with those. We have the phrase and people, so and for and people goes through. I've had many students confusing the word the with the word and. Just make sure that the and look very different. It can be confusing context. So the we know is tall, T and a H, and is much smaller and it's curved. Easily done them at speed to get those confused. So and people, I've mentioned the phrase of you, so of followed by you. A nice grip in there. This is quite a random phrase that's going to come up. It's a phrase then forwarded. So it's going to say a message was then forwarded and sent on to. So we're going to do then. Forward is a chopped word rule for forward as well. Add the D to make it forwarded. Okay, forwarded. Just reminder that chopped word can be used to represent wide, like world wide, world wood. It can be used for word, like crossword. It can be used for ward, like hospital, ward. And it can be used for forward, as in come forward. And there we go, just checking I've got them all there. Okay, so all your different uses of wood. So they've got, and of course, the initial, the other word, W-O-O-D, W-O-U-L-D. So the most common use is wood. We've got forward, we've got wide, we've got ward, and we've got word as well. Okay. We then have the phrase outside there. So we want to have OT, so that O is huge there. We want to have OT, SDH of there, outside there. Insurance should just be INS, INS. Registered. Now we'd have an R, a good head on your G, an S, a TR, in D. Now you could just put regged, okay, but this is a full outline. And we do want to always try and take care to write the full outline, otherwise you risk mistranscribing outlines or just not knowing what it says. The phrase does not is DSNT, so the NT falls down low. Containing, you want to see and blend a T and an ing. We've got next fingerprints, okay, so F, and we've got Inga, you've got your PR, and then your NTS. Now with prints, you can intersect the NTS if it's not too fiddly. If it's too fiddly, then you can pop it just next to. But if you want to intersect like so, then that's absolutely fine. We have the phrase during there. So here you want to have a DR blend, and the ing just goes down to make ing there, during there. We've chopped off the T of there. We've got of this, so chop off the T and slope the H in the direction of the I indicator. We've then got must be, so MST, circle the B. Considered, we've got CN, SDR, and then D, considered. Sorry, that looks a little bit wonky there. I'm writing at a slight angle. We've got con, SDR, and then D, considered. Carefully, we've got the CR, FL blend in I, and then we've got confident, that'd be a CN blend in F and DNT. Now, if you go backwards, which I find a bit easy to go that way, that's absolutely fine. We get used to writing conference, popping the F this side, but it is fine to go the other way, if that's easy for you. Last one is that you will. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now is pause the lesson if you wish, and then drill all of those words and bits you've had there. You could have voice note them on your phone, put them back to yourself, and just test your knowledge. And then you could always, rewind the video and then find out what the answer was and if you remembered it correctly. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is read the whole dictation. So I've got 4 minutes long. I'll give you the title of this passage as well. And then you can either pause and transcribe, and then I'll go through it on the board, or you can just choose to watch a lesson on where I go through every outline. Okay, I'm going to have a quick drink of my drink. I've actually got a coffee and a water. It's quite late at night here. So I'm going to have a quick drink of my coffee, and then I will read the passage. It's going to be read out at 90 words per minute. So 90 words a minute, so it's pretty high speed, and it's 4 minutes long. Okay, so a bit of a challenge. Okay, so the title of this is Man Stands Trial Following Evidence of Drug Dealing. Okay, so man stands trial following evidence of drug dealing. So we've got man stands, TRL, trial, following nice FL blend W ing there. Evidence, we've got of, drug is a DR blend and G, and dealing is DL and ing. Okay. So it will be 4 minutes dictated at 90 words per minute. You will see my eyes going the other way because I've got 2 screens. Okay. I'm not just staring into space. Okay, just grab my timer. I'll read the title a few times. I'll say ready, then I'll start dictating the passage. Okay, best of luck. Let's go. Man stands trial following evidence of drug dealing. Man stands trial following evidence of drug dealing. Okay, ready. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my name is Marie King, and it is my pleasure to serve as a prosecutor on this case. The defendant, Nathan Goodwin, aged 31, is charged with the possession of drugs with intent to supply. Let me take you back to the night of December 6, 2019. The police were called to a 1-bedroom apartment on Callum Street at 2 a.m. after a neighbour raised a noise complaint. In the words of the neighbour, music was blaring and there had been comings and goings of different cars for a few hours. He said this evening was not an isolated incident and that he had finally reached breaking point. On arrival, police officers had to force entry into the property because the tenant, who was renting the flat under a false name, refused to answer the door. After breaking down the door, police found large packets of a hard white substance, scales, and 50 smaller pouches of the substance scattered across the table. A sum of £17,000 was discovered under a loose panel of flooring in the ensuite bathroom. Police also retrieved 4 small phones with evidence of text messages confirming the drop-off and collection of drugs. A number of these texts were sent to children as young as 14. Earlier that very same night, a message was sent to a 15-year-old boy saying, "I can promise you a better life. No need for school. You will be a big man and people will be scared of you." The very same message was then forwarded to 20 other contacts. A black car parked outside the apartment with no tax or insurance was also searched. This car is registered in Nathan Goodwin's name, yet he claims it does not belong to him. A police search found a large duffel bag containing crisp packets stuffed with a brown substance. Indeed, fingerprints on all items match that of the accused. The evidence I present to you during the course of this trial must be considered very carefully. I am confident that you will make the right decision. They're never easy, are they? Okay, well done for sticking with that. If I could see you, I'd be making sure you didn't drop a pen, give up during that. It was hard. Okay, so you can now transcribe if you would like, or you can stick with me while I go through every sentence in that. Okay, so let's look. Sentence one, then we had ladies and gentlemen of the jury. So we had that already, so it's a nice head start. My name is, we can do M and S for shortcut. Marie, long M and I, and then King would be K and an ing, King. Then we have, and it is my pleasure. So we did have that before, didn't we? It is my pleasure. So the ing on King almost looks touching, but it shouldn't be disjoined. To serve as a, so I've got two. Serve as SRV, as a, could be grouped. We have prosecutor. On this should be grouped as well. You could even do on this case, or you could have that separate. End of sentence. Again, bear in mind, my notes are big and quite gap because I want you to be able to see clearly. The defendant, Nathan Goodwin, so I've got the, my shortcut for, can't get words there, my shortcut for defendant, I'm getting too excited teaching shorthand, is this, but you can outline, Nathan would be N-T-H-N. Next, we have Goodwin, so G-D-W-N. Next one, we have, so age 31, so we've got AGD for age, we've got 31. Also, back to Nathan here, if you have used the elongated N there to represent your NTH, then you kind of might have done this like we do for Northern. Okay, it wouldn't be wrong to do that. So we've got Nathan Goodwin, age 31, is charged with a possession. So we've got age 31 is my shortcut for charged, is to knock out the R with already mentioned possession of drugs with special outline, intent to SPLI, end of sentence. Let me take you back to the night of December 6th. So I've got let me should be joined, take as TK, you back as BK, to the should be grouped, night is NT, got of, December is DC. 6, just circle that, otherwise you might think it's B. 2019. Then we have the police were called to a 1-bedroom apartment. So end of sentence, we've got the P for police, were as long W, called is CLD. 2A, 1 I tend to do on, but I always do on. Bedroom, I've already mentioned that in the drilling outlines. We've already had apartment as well in the drills. On Callum Street, that was quite awkward. Callum Street, that would be KL. Then we would have the N there, Callum. The H would be silent, arguably. Now, with street names and names of, for example, the defendant, the prosecutor, in industry, you would check the spellings, but of course, in exams, you know, we don't always know how it was spelled. Now, when you are in industry, to make sure always make sure you check spellings, because, for example, you might have John with a H, John with an N. So that's just to be careful of. The names I put in here are quite difficult, and you may think them more difficult than names you've perhaps seen in past exam papers. So I have made it a bit more difficult here, just to give you some kind of real life experience of reporting the courts. But don't stress to say about the name too much with the street here, just because it's quite a hard name, and in industry, of course, you would check your spellings. So Callum Street, and that's when we're going to clear the board now, just because, guys, I've got not enough room. So Callum Street at 2 a.m. So I've got at and the T line. I tend to do a T for 2, even for the number 2, rather than circling the 2, but it's up to you. AM is going to be just A, and M the same as am. After a neighbour raised a noise complaint, so full A for after. A, neighbour we had, raised RSD, A, noise NS, nice CM blend, PLNT for complaint. End of sentence. In the words of the neighbour, so we had in the words for in the woods of the should be joined. Neighbour is NBR. Music was blaring. Now, music's quite awkward. MS, I going up in C, was, we had blaring in the drill words. And there had been, just get that line a bit straighter. Comings and goings of different cars. This is the RS for cars. For a few hours. So 4A should be joined. P is SW, and hours, we've got the long W and the S. So we could actually add that on. A few hours. For a few hours, end of sentence. We've got he said, again, apologies, I keep looking at the screen just because they're longhand there. We've got he said this evening, so we've got this evening, so the H of this in the way of the indicator. Evening, we have the E disjoint inside the V and blend, and the ing. He said this evening was not an isolated incident. So we've got was, we've got not, and. We're going to have ISLTD. Isolated incident is ICD. And that he had finally reached breaking point, the poor man. So I've got and that he had downwards F and I for finally reached RCHD. Breaking, that should R omitted, intersect K. We have breaking point. End of sentence. On arrival, OM blend for on. Arrival, we had that in the words that we drilled, hopefully. Police officers, we had that also in the words that we hopefully drilled. Had to force entry, so had to. FRC for force. I'm going to just erase the board now. Remember, if I go too fast, you'll stop me. I do speak very quickly. I'm very high energy, so you feel free to pause me at any point. Entry is E indicated TR and I. So had to force entry into the property. So I've got I and TH of there. Into there, they've got property, which is your PR, PRTI, long outline, that one, property. Into the property, because the tenant, we could join because the tenant, we're going to have TN and T. Okay, what's next? 1 second. Who was renting the flat? So we can join who was. RNT ing for renting. We've got the flat FR blending T. Now, renting the isn't a particularly common phrase, but you could extend the ing to represent the, like we do for things like using the, taking the, drawing there. We could have done it with renting the, but you may not have done just because it's not a particularly common phrase. So renting the flat under A, that's your under A, false, FLS, name is NM. Refuse, we had that in the worst drill. To answer the door, answer is ANS. I could add the H of there for answer there. Door is that long D. After breaking down the door, I hope you're still with me, by the way. We're almost 2 minutes through going through this, so apologies if it seems like it's quite long-winded. There's a lot to get through. Hopefully you're having fun now and learning some wonderful stuff. So refuse to answer the door was the last section there we had. Then we've got after breaking down the door. So we've got after, we've had that already, breaking down, picking the N. The door is a long D. Police found, so P for police, found is F and D. Large is LR blend, and G packets is P, C, T, S. Of a hard, white is WT. We had substance in the questions before, it's just very awkward. May have put subs, hard white substance, scales, and 50 smaller pouches. So we've got scales, SCLS, same as schools, and 50 smaller, SM, upwards L, elongated. Now smaller has to look different to the word similar. With similar, we add the I, similar, because those can be confused in context, smaller and similar. So we have smaller pouches, and that would be P, you're quite far down, this is PCHS. So I've just kind of almost not got enough space there. Pouches. Of the substance, so I've got of the substance, scattered across the table. So scattered, you've got SC, TR blend and D. Crosses should be joined, table T and able, disjoined A or able there. A sum of £17,000 was discovered. So we've got A, sum of 17, T for thousand, dot for pound was. Stop for a second. I'm going to have a quick sip of my coffee and then I'm going to carry on going. £17,000 was discovered. Okay. Just clean my board. DSCBRD, discovered. Under a loose panel, so under a loose is LS, panel is P and upwards L. R is O on the T line. SLR blend and ink flooring. In there. Now, ensuite, it's a word that, to be honest, I've not actually come across before. Even now, I've been teaching short for a very long time. There's still words I meet, which perhaps I haven't come across before. Now, ensuite would be a O-N and S-T, ensuite. We could use a phonetic sound there. If you did something like this, E-N-S-T, you're not wrong. It's just which one would you recognise most easily. We've got bathroom, okay, that would be B-T-H. No, we'd have B-T-H-R blended M. You could do it two ways. You might have put the room separately. It's going to show you to do bath, and the room with the R and the M. But bathroom, T-H-R blend may be much quicker. So we've got bathroom there, ensuite bathroom. Then we have got police also retrieve, so P for police. Also retrieved as R, TR blend. Get this straight, sorry. Also retrieved 4 small phones. I tend to write 4 as FR blend rather than circle the number. Small SML phone is downwards F and S. With evidence of text messages, they've got with evidence of. Text is T and then just cross through with the X. Messages would be MSGS. Confirming, which is an outline that Did look at it before, did we? No, it was, I'm really confident. So confirming is CN, you've got the F, ing. If you put the F the other side, it's not wrong. So confirming the drop off and collection of drugs. So we've got the DR blend and P for drop. Next, we've got off, drop off, and collection. Yeah, and collection of drugs. Okay, so we've got collection, which will be C, Al, C, and Shen. You may choose to omit that C there and just to see Al, Shen. That would also be fine. Collection of drugs. Okay. Brill. So we are, we're up to, we are about 2.5 minutes through. Okay. So end of that one, just going to get a new page up now. So let's carry on. We've got a number of these texts were sent to children. So I've got a number. You could join number of these together. We've got texts. We've got were sent as S and T to children, item to do, seeing that the indicator as a shortcut for children. You'll see other ways to write it in different texts. Children as young as 14. So I've mentioned that as young as 14. Earlier, that very same night, so I've got ER, LR blend, could join that very, same as SM, night as NT. A message was sent to a 15-year-old boy. So a message was sent to a 15. There's different ways to write year old. I do Y, I'll D, year old. Boy, we use the Y to represent boy. Saying, I can promise you a better life. So saying is S-A-ing, I can should be joined. Promise, U-A, better is B long T. Better life. No need for school, so N-O for no, need is N-D, for is F-R, school is S-C-L. You will be a big man and people will be scared of you. So you will be a, big, we're going to include the I indicator for clarity and clear join. Big man, so M-N, and people, put the people through, will be scared as S-C-R-D, and try and join the of and the U. And people will be scared of you. End of sentence. I'm going to clear the screen in a second, so if you take your notes, you can pause and just take the time. Okay, next we have the very same message was then. So they've got the very same MSG was then forwarded. We did drill that before, hopefully. To 20 other contacts is CN TCTS. End of sentence. A black car parked outside the apartment. So I've got a black car parked as PRCD. I want to try and join outside there, and we've already had apartment drill hopefully beforehand. Outside the apartment with no tax or insurance, they've got with, no as NO. Tax, we've got T and X. Or as O for your writing line. Ins for insurance. Was also searched, so was also SRCHD. This car is registered in Nathan Goodwin's name. So I've got this car is registered in, mentioned options how to write Nathan, so you could do the elongated T or you can do NTHN. Hard name, that one. Who writes these things? Goodwin's names. They've got good, again, Goodwin's is very fiddly. name as M. If, of course, you were taking a passage down your recording from the courts and you had the names of people involved, you could then choose to abbreviate those to the initials throughout the shorthand, but you'd have obviously the full names written and spelled correctly somewhere in longhand to refer to after to Nathan Goodwin's name. Then we have got yet he claims it does not belong to him. So they've got yet he CLMS. It we could join does not there. Belong is BL and a disjoint O for ong, T for two, and we've got him HM. End of sentence. A police search found a large duffel bag. So we've got A, police, search, SRCH, found FND, A, large LRNG. Duffel is a strange one. So it would be a D and FL blend. You may have gone D and FL this way. Either is fine. So duffel bag. It can be quite frustrating in shorthand when someone will say to you, either's fine. Well, there's options because you think, just give me an answer. But just when you have an option, just choose one that you find easiest and that most resonates with that word for you. It's a wonderful thing that we have this flexibility. But that doesn't mean we can make up our own shorthand. You've got to be led by a tutor or a text to make sure that it's fit for purpose and would always be transcribed accurately as well, which is very important. So we had, what was it up to? Duffel bag. Yeah. So I'm just going through the big long passage next to me. Containing crisp packets. So we've got CN, T, and ing. We've got crisp, which is CRSP. Now, for me, this is an example where your R principle with CR is a bit fiddly. You could indeed intersect the S and P to follow the correct theory. If this rule, your R principle with intersection, makes outline too difficult to write, too fiddly, you can choose to not use the rule. Okay, so crisp, I would tend to keep the R in. Packets would be PCTS, containing crisp packets. Stuffed with a brown substance, so ST, downwards F and D, with a WM and T line, got A, brown is B, WM inside. Substance, we've had that already. Substance. Indeed, fingerprints on all items. So we've got INDD. We had fingerprints in the questions before. On as ON, all as AL. ITMS for items. Just write that down, sorry, it's a pen. Not clear. Match that of the accused. So match, we don't put the T in, so match that of the accused. The evidence I present to you, coming to the end, you've done really well. Evidence I, again with present, you can disjoint or intersect, whichever's easier for you, to you during the course of this trial, TRL. MSTB must be considered as a CM blend, S, DR, and D. Very CR, FLI carefully. I am confident that you will MK make the right decision. And there we have it. That was 4 minutes of dictation explained to you there. So I hope that whoever is watching this found it helpful. It's hopefully gave you a few more words to drill, exposure to words you may have never written before, which is always good because that tests your theory knowledge. And of course, as always, we're keen to know if you enjoyed this lesson. If you did, found it useful to have a different style dictation, let us know, and we can, of course, make more of these for you. Okay, so thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And yeah, goodbye from me. Thank you for having me.